Tony, a poor kid from the mountains, came to an elite school on his first day and opened 108 bottles of 1982 Lafite for the whole class. The whole room of rich kids was stunned. Just then, one of the rich kids suddenly remembered another classmate had bragged earlier, saying he'd pay for all of Tony's meals. The classmate immediately realized what that meant. When he first met Tony looked poor and wore ragged clothes and scarfed down food at the welcome party, and his own monthly allowance was only 10 grand. He was basically at the bottom of the school. He thought treating Tony would boost his status, but the wine on the table right now was worth tens of millions. Just as he was falling into despair, Tony calmly spoke up and said this kind of small money didn't need covering. Then he started digging through his burlap sack and pulled out a plastic bag. Seeing this, everyone thought he'd gone crazy and tried to kick him out, but the next second, a classmate reached into the plastic bag and pulled out a black card. Turns out Tony was the son of the richest man, but growing up in the countryside he had no idea. The village Tony grew up in actually had an average wealth in the hundreds of billions. They either drove Rolls Royces or million-dollar Mercedes. The village even reported GDP in the trillions every year. The rock Tony picked up at the door turned out to be top-grade jade. Tony had long been tired of that life. He just wanted to see the outside world. That day he received the acceptance letter from the elite university. Before he left, his second uncle gave him a bag of De Hong Pao, each gram worth 200,000. He said to make tea with it at school. His third uncle gave him a rock and said to sell it for food if he ran out of money. His dad gave him a card and said it was for his semester's living expenses. So Tony carried his worn-out sack and rode a creaky tricycle to this legendary elite school, only to find out the principal was his older nephew. So the principal personally arranged for a female teacher to receive him and take care of all his daily needs. It turned out his dad had donated an entire building just to make sure he got in smoothly, but no one knew Tony's identity. The teacher saw his shabby clothes and assumed he was a special admission for poor students, so she personally brought him to the opening ceremony. Other students saw how poor he looked and started making fun of him. Someone even kicked him out like a beggar. The dean was even harsher and tried to cancel his admission on the spot, but Tony calmly pulled out a special student certificate issued by the principal. The teacher reminded Tony, this school never sends admission letters to anyone worth less than 5 million, and has even had a special status stamp. She said it was clearly fake, but when the dean opened the letter, he saw the principal's official seal and remembered the major shareholder the principal mentioned, so he quickly changed his tone, telling everyone not to discriminate against Tony, and asked the teacher to take good care of him. The teacher was totally confused. She didn't expect the dean to change his attitude so fast, but some clueless students still bullied Tony, telling him to perform like a circus act. The teacher tried to stop them, but the students said, he's just some poor kid from the countryside. He's probably never tasted city food before. But what they didn't know was that Tony's meals back home were all worth a fortune. No one believed Tony. Even the teacher thought he was just bluffing. She said not even the richest man could do what Tony claimed. But what she didn't know was that he was the richest man's son, and the richest man's daughter was studying at the same school. By seniority, she had to call Tony big brother, but everyone still thought he was lying. They said she was the campus goddess. Of course everyone liked her. How could some poor mountain boy know her? What they didn't know was that Tony's family was once on the list of village poverty relief targets. Hearing that, everyone burst out laughing. They said how could she, the richest man's daughter, be someone needing poverty relief? But seeing they still didn't believe him, Tony called her over without another word.